extra, 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 extra moisture, extra flavor, extra tenderness when you know the difference between marinate and macerate for your holiday cooking. That's today on the Carefree Cooks Code. I'm Chef Todd Moore, and this is the Carefree Cooks Code, every Tuesday live at noon Eastern. Here's our challenge. How can home cooks cook freely with creativity, confidence, and pride while ignoring recipes and still impressing themselves and others with what they cook? Well, the answer is found in becoming empowered with how cooking works, using dependable and repeatable methods of cooking that work for any ingredient, for any diet, and any desire, just like chefs do. And we'll know we've cracked it when everyone sees cooking as an exciting and rewarding way to improve their relationships, their lifestyles, and their health through better food and cooking. This is the Carefree Cooks Code. Hey, welcome back to the Carefree Cooks Code, everyone. This is the weekly show for the methods, techniques, and insights into better food and cooking. And we're live every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. You can find all the past episodes in the archive on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/chef.todd.more/videos, or if you want to see what I'm cooking when I'm not live on Facebook, you can follow Chef Todd Moore on Instagram as well. Why would you want to follow me? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because I create my own recipes. This brings friends and family together. Or maybe I should make it I bring food to them. I don't know. But I learn every time I cook. That's an important one. I create my own cooking style, and it all happens because I practice pro methods, and I wind up loving my cooking. Hey, everybody. I'm glad we're together on Tuesdays, one of my favorite days of the week. I just love the Carefree Cooks Code because I get to dig into the back of my brain, pull something out, and then throw it at you. That sounded so gross. That's not the way I meant it. Just the tips and techniques that are going to help you this week. And this is the week. Here in the U.S., it's the week to be thankful for all we do have. It's been a tough year, you know? Be thankful for what you do have, and at the same time, show respect for all the things that we've lost. We've all lost a lot. And there's been a lot of sadness and tragedy this year. So let's not make more of it over the holidays. Let's not make more tragedy. It doesn't seem what the holidays should be about. Let's scale it down, okay? And I'm here to help you with your scaled down holiday meals. And today I want to talk about getting more flavor into potentially less food. That's the way. If you're going to have less food, how about more flavor? MOHR. Nah, it doesn't work there. Never mind. Let's get to the what am I for today. You know the thing on the end of the turkey's nose, the gobble 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 thing? What's it called? Tell me in the comments section below, what is the name of that fleshy thing on a turkey's nose? And keep it clean, please. No. If you know it, fine. But it's a good, what am I? What's the thing on a turkey's nose? Okay, it's crunch time. We are just a few days away from what's usually the big meal here in the U.S., right? Dozens of people, big table, Norman Rockwellian carving thing. It ain't gonna happen. It shouldn't happen. This year is going to be different. Admit it. Resign yourself to that fact. There's going to be less people around the table. It's going to be a smaller menu. And the changes to this year's holiday table are going to be ones that you probably never thought would happen. But this doesn't mean we can't find a way to make it better, to pull out all the stops, to dig deep into the bag of tricks, back into Chef Todd's brain, to make this one of the best holiday meals ever, considering the circumstances, right? Let's not give up on this. And it's even okay if you're not in the U.S. right now, if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving at all. I know my Canadian friends to the north, they had theirs weeks ago, but there's still a bunch of holiday cooking to do before the end of the year. And over the next few weeks, no matter where in the world you are, no matter what holiday you celebrate, I'm here to help you with it. That's why I want to help you with some last minute tips to add extra Flavor. I'm going to do that a few times. Get used to it. Flavor, moisture, texture, tenderness to all the food that you're going to cook for every celebration, whether it's the holidays or not. Okay, so how are we going to do this? How are we going to accomplish all of this extra? What one culinary trick solves all this extra things? Well, it's simple. We're going to use our two flavor-finding friends, marinate and macerate. And if you like alliteration, I will say that sentence again. There are no, maybe I won't say that sentence again. There are flavor-finding friends, macerate and marinate. They're in your kitchen right now, and you may not even know about it. Or at least all the makings of skillful macerating and marinating are already in your pantry, because you don't need any fancy ingredients to macerate or marinate. You don't need any special gadgets to macerate or marinate. And I've found myself macerating in my kitchen with what's in my pantry. I just, right there, I stand there and I macerate, no thought at all. And this is where at least one culinary college student starts giggling at the word macerate. That's when I know the level that I'm at with my school. But here's the difference, simplified, okay? Macerate and marinate. Macerate is flavor out. Marinate is flavor in. It's that simple. And almost everybody knows what marinate is. Marinate is when you soak a protein product, or any other product for that matter, in a liquid, and then it tastes like the liquid after you cook it, right? Simplest definition. Take something, soak it in something, and it tastes like the something you soaked it in after you cook it. The flavor goes in to the food. Macerating is the other way. Macerating is used to pull flavors out of herbs, of spices, of tea, berries, fruits, things like that. You've seen me do this. If you simmer an onion in milk and then chill it, you get onion milk. You get the flavor of onion macerated in the milk. If you put vanilla beans in your bottle of rum, don't know anyone that does that. I've got a bottle in that closet right there. If you macerate vanilla beans in rum for a month or more, you've got some really amazing vanilla rum. That's the idea. You have macerated the rum with vanilla, not marinated the vanilla in rum. You get the idea? The vanilla went out into the rum rather than the rum into the vanilla. Okay, so I know it sounds a little crazy, but this can be so powerful in the kitchen, and it's so simple. And it might just be two different perspectives on the same thing, because I know what you smart, carefree cooks out there are already thinking. If you put the vanilla beans in the rum, aren't you marinating the beans instead of macerating the rum? No. Again, marinating is usually reserved for protein products that are going to be cooked. Yeah, you can marinate portobello mushrooms and tofu and things like that. But macerating, I always say, is like making tea. You are macerating water with the flavor of tea leaves. And then you throw the tea leaves away. You are not marinating the tea leaves so that they taste like water. That doesn't make sense. It's the best illustration. You do not marinate tea leaves in water. You macerate the tea into the water so the water tastes like tea. You get it? Macerate out, marinate in. That's the idea. And originally, marinades were intended to both preserve and tenderize tough meats. This hid off flavors. This, without refrigeration, this helped preserve meats that were going bad. But macerating is really just to extract flavors. It doesn't really do anything else than that. So the intensely flavored wine and vinegar marinades were generally used to disguise the flavor of meats that were spoiling or going bad. So the marinades really accomplish two things. First, a heavily acidic environment does not allow bacteria to grow. So if you think you're going to get sick from non-refrigerated meat, you're living in the Caribbean in the hundreds of years ago, or living anywhere for that matter hundreds of years ago, you can pasteurize. Although, oh my goodness, I'm down a rabbit hole. You can make the meat safer. The second thing is the item being submerged in liquid now means that there's no contact with oxygen, and that's another contributor to spoiling. But today, marinades, they're not protecting bad meat. They're not killing bacteria. They're not covering bad smells. Today, the marinades are used really for three purposes. And this is where it gets back to our extra, because marinades add extra flavor, extra moisture, and to tenderize, they make things extra tender. And there are four types of marinades. There's an oil and acid marinade, accomplishes one thing. There's an oil and aromatic marinade, accomplishes something else. Then, of course, there's an acid and aromatic marinade and dry rubs, dry marinades and rubs. We call it a dry marinade, but it's really a rub. And we're not going to talk about dry rubs today. That's for when summer cooking is cool. Again, we'll get back around to that. But oils are primarily used in a marinade to protect and preserve the food. Either during the marination or during the cooking. And the oils also aid in browning, but the oils aren't really going to add flavor unless you're using a highly flavored oil, but oils don't really penetrate into meat. They coat meats. Aromatics will add the flavor to the marinade and to the item being marinated. So remember my idea of making tea? Let's say you take herbs and macerate them into ketchup or soy sauce or something, then use the macerated ketchup or soy sauce or something to marinate a steak in. Then you're getting flavor on top of flavor. And generally fresh herbs, not dried herbs, fresh herbs are preferred for a marinade because they're the ones that have the active oils on them. But look, dry herbs can be used because they'll reconstitute in the liquid. You're just going to need more of it. They don't pack as much of a punch. Fresh herbs are best because of the active oils. But perhaps the most important element of all marinades is the acidic ingredient. The acid is the most important thing with proteins, with meats, stuff like that. So let me get a little culinary school. Let me get a little chefy on you for a minute, because our goal, think about what your goal is in cooking. The goal in cooking meats is to coagulate the proteins, to break down the connective tissues, to make the item more tender if you can, and sometimes to caramelize residual sugars and give a brown color and a sweeter flavor. So keep in mind that the meat that you're eating from a cow, a hog, chicken, turkey, poultry, any of these things, they're about 75% water. Just about any meat protein you eat is going to be somewhere around 75% water, and you're going to roast it. So many of the challenges behind roasting something in the oven is protecting that moisture. The dried out turkey is the worst part of Thanksgiving. And it's mostly because you're using the most drying out cooking method there is, roasting. We've talked about this before. Techniques like brining can help you. Covering the turkey in the oven will retain moisture. Adding a pan of liquid in the bottom to create a steam environment adds moisture or protects the moisture. Stuffing your turkey under the skin, like I show you in my holiday cooking success course. Those are all the things that will help protect against that dry out oven. But what I want to concentrate on today is the tenderizing part of the acids, because connective tissue in these animals, connective tissue binds muscle cells into bundles, and most connective tissue is composed of either collagen or elastin. You've seen this in the live cooking segments when I point out the white fat versus the shiny gray silver fat. So collagen cooks down. Collagen breaks into gelatin and water when exposed to moisture, when exposed to heat. Collagen renders, collagen melts. Collagen is what you need to make a stock. And that's the key to making stock. The other kind of fat is elastin. And now the elastin will not break down under normal cooking conditions, and it's got to be removed with your boning knife, removed before cooking. So it's this connective tissue that develops in frequently used muscles. The more the muscle moves on the animal, the more connective tissue it is. And I always used to say, if a cow walked on its back legs upright like we would, beef tenderloin would be the throwaway meat. It would be the toughest meat because it would have to hold the cow up, right? And probably the shank would be the best meat because those little arms wouldn't really be doing anything when a cow stands up. So the more the muscle on the animal moves, the more connective tissue and the tougher the meat. But a lot of people will say this is the most flavorful meat. And if you could just tenderize it, then it truly would be the best meat. You know, shank cuts, round cuts, Boston butt on a hog. These are the things where the acids in the marinades come in. Using vinegar, using wine, yogurt, liquors, fruit, citrus juices in your marinade, this slowly breaks down the connective tissues and it tenderizes the meat. The longer you marinate it or the more you cook something in a highly acidic environment. I told you I was getting chefy with you today, all right? So I hope you're getting this because there's a reason before it. Strangely, though, the opposite effect, okay, this is for tenderizing elastin, for tough meats. The opposite effect, it has the opposite effect on tender items that are already tender. You're going to mess them up. Fish, shellfish, very tender meats like poultry, chicken, turkey that we're talking about. If it has too much acid, think of ceviche, right? Think of fish marinated in lime. Well, the acid cooks the fish, it toughens it, it coagulates the protein, and that's why there is such a difference between marinating and brining. This is the time of year people are always asking me about brining their turkey, and brining uses less acidic liquid because you don't want to toughen that turkey meat, right? But it's really used to flavor the item rather than tenderize it. So brining relies on the flavor of the liquid and the aromatics. You don't want to add acids, or you don't want to add too much acid to your brine. And a brine is more likely to use a mild stock, a very mild broth, something like that, than a marinade would. A marinade, you need it up front. You need it in your face. It's got a lot of heavy lifting to do for a piece of beef, but a brine is there just for moisture and flavor. And that's why I recommend brining your turkey, so you can add that extra flavor, that extra moisture, so that when you put it into the oven and it all dries out, you've got yourself a head start, you know? The brine is not to tenderize the turkey. Turkey's already tender. The brine is there to add flavor. And let me give you a few examples now. A few examples of my high acid and low acid marinades for brine. High acid for tenderizing and flavoring, low acid for brining, moisturizing and flavoring. So let's talk about like for beef, for pork, for lamb, things like that. You might consider red wine in a marinade. Yogurts in a marinade are good. Vinegar, or you could even dilute the vinegar a little bit with some beef broth. Tomato products, tomato paste, ketchup, tomato sauce, diced tomatoes. Tomato products work great. Worcestershire sauce, not highly acidic, but it has a tenderizing effect. Citrus juices are always great. Orange juices, I don't have to list citrus juices for you. Lemon juices are great as well. Even some of the dry ingredients, citric acids for dry rubs, but we're not going to get into that, like I said, today. But for poultry or firm fish, something like a fish fumet. We teach this in web cooking classes as well. Plenty of videos out there on fish fumet. Fish fumet isn't a stock because you're not drawing collagen out of the bones. Fish fumet is more like fish tea. It's just a flavor of fish, but it's a great thing for a low acid marinade. Chicken broth. Low acid brine, I meant to say. Chicken broth, great for a low acid brine. Apple juice, pear juice, tree fruits, not citrus fruits, which, yes, grow on a tree, but what do we call them? Seeded fruits in that regard. Oh, forget it. You know what an apple or pear is. I'm trying to generalize. You know that they're much less acidic than citrus juices. Coconut milk as a brine. Think about that for a minute. It's a very neutral thing. How about some oils, like an herb macerated olive oil? Macerate honey. You can actually simmer honey, just at very low heat with some herbs, strain it, cool it. Now you have a macerated honey to use in your brine of a turkey. You get it. Sake, Japanese sake, rice wine, mirin, things like that. They're all very good low acid additions for brining poultry or fish or shrimp or any delicate item. That's where the line is drawn, from a delicate item to a item that needs to be tenderized. Then Use whole dry spices if you want in a marinade because it's going to go on for a long time. Whole peppercorns, whole cumin seeds, sprigs of thyme, sage, whole sage leaves, things like that, so that the active oil in the herbs make the flavor that you want in the marinade or the brine. And then there's Macerate too, which isn't nearly as delicate or complicated. And like I've said a few times, it's like making a cup of tea. If you can make a cup of tea, you can macerate. You can pull flavor out of something and infuse it into something else. So here are a few ways that I make sure I'm macerating for the holiday season. The best one is flavored milk. Before I make a white sauce, I make sure that I add extra flavor to the milk. Maybe it's onion. Maybe it's garlic, for a white sauce. I always make my Alfredo that way. Macerate the milk with garlic, throw the garlic away like you do a tea bag, and then you got garlic milk. How about jalapenos or hot pepper flakes or just about any flavor that you would want? Get it into the milk, very soft, low simmer, like making tea. Remember that. Then strain out the macerated item because you've taken the flavor out of it, and now it's good for compost or whatever else you want. A flavored simmer, poaching, or steaming liquid. Let's say you're going to steam something, par cooking like we've been talking about. Add lemon slices to the poaching liquid. Add herb stems. Add whole dry spices because, again, you're making tea, right? So you flavor the chicken broth or the vegetable broth that you have, make it highly aromatic, and that's going to get into the item that you're cooking. In web cooking classes lesson week 5, I also show you how to put adjuncts in these things, right? Just a few drops of an acid in simmering liquid makes white vegetables whiter, and it has this effect on proteins as well. A small amount of acid in a turkey brine will actually brighten that turkey meat. I've seen it happen with chicken breasts, poaching two side by side. But, and this is the key also, adding a little bit of acid to like your cauliflower, adding a little bit of acid to your potatoes will bring out the color. But too much acid will make the potatoes taste like vinegar. But you might want that. The secret to German potato salad is a vinegar brine of the potatoes before they're cooked. Then you cook them, they get softer, a little bit of sour cream, you whip some chives, maybe into your mashed potatoes that have a little bite of vinegar to them. They've got that tart aromatic flavor. It just makes it a much more interesting side dish than if you cook potatoes in water and then add plain milk and butter to them. How can you macerate into the water? How can you macerate into the milk? How can you make something sneaky tasty? That's the way I've called it before, sneaky tasty. So rather than just milk and butter, do something heavier. Speaking of butter, how about compound butters? How about macerating your herbs or some whipped butter, piping it out in a pastry bag into little rosettes, either on top of the baked potato or on top of the steak or something. So you get that extra flavor that your diners can add. Maybe it's just for the dinner rolls. Like you're going to serve dinner rolls. Why not serve it with a sage thyme butter instead? We're going to have less this year. Let's make less more. That's what I'm trying to do. How about a special bottle of oregano, thyme, and basil macerated olive oil, something to pour over your vegetables, steam all those vegetables, and you got that macerated olive oil to throw on top. So when you start putting more flavor, when you take one flavor and put it into another, or pulling out a flavor from another, you add a whole new depth and dimension to your cooking. Marinate and macerate takes the same old, and it makes it something brand new. And that's why marinate, to put flavor in and tenderize, and macerate, to pull flavor out, can be two of the easiest but most impactful kitchen skills for you this holiday season. And that's why I wanted to share them with you today. All right, let's see how many carefree cooks in our private community for lifetime members of web cooking classes. Let's see how they're getting as much flavor as they can into their cooking. Let's start out with Jamie. Jamie said it's a mushroom soup kind of day. No recipe needed because Jamie understands really the only 3 ways to make a soup, but came up with a really nice looking soup, letting all those flavors macerate in that broth into the liquid. That's how you get a real flavorful soup. Connie made herself a gluten-free potato soup. She followed the method that I demonstrated during one of my live classes, but made the changes that work for her diet. And really, it was as simple as substituting potato starch for wheat flour. It was just really easy to do. But what the difference here is she gets a lot of flavor macerated into the milk first, and that's really the way to do it. Moira's getting a lot of flavor into her beef broth also. She started the beef and barley stew that I demonstrated last Thursday, and then all she had to do was wait. The barley being the thickening agent, the barley absorbing all that flavorful liquid and then thickening it, and it all comes together in the pan, and then you got barley that tastes like beef and tomato, and it's really cool. Nice job, Moira. Really nice. Mary's really proud of her first ever mac and cheese, first ever from scratch. No box, no mix, no recipe, no nothing. This is a rite of passage for a lot of carefree cooks. When they really get their white sauce down, when they really get their cheese sauce down, she's really proud of it, and she should be. This is a great combination of cheeses that she put together that she likes. She added macerated flavor to her milk, and she comes away with not only great mac and cheese, but a tremendous amount of pride in making something impressive yourself. Nicely done, Mary. Really, really good. Lynn's making my double cranberry applesauce. I love when I see people do this. This is from my holiday cooking success course. If your cranberry sauce slides out of a can every year, you should try this instead. It's twice the apples, half the cranberries, pureed. It's really amazing. It's another great example of macerating flavors because the apples soak up the cranberries and the cranberries kind of soak up the apples. It's really crazy. Look, this holiday season, don't settle for the same dishes that you've always made. This year is going to be different. And it's a great opportunity to take advantage of the different because you can add new depth, new dimension of flavor when you've marinated to tenderize or macerated to add flavor this year. Let's get back to the what am I? What am I? What is that thing on a turkey? It's called a snood. S-N-O-O-D. That's going to be your new favorite word for the day. I know you're going to walk around all day like I do saying snood. Oh, don't be such a snood. Snood's the new word. Oh, speaking of walking around and saying snood to people, if you know someone, whether they need to pull flavor out or put flavor in to their cooking, they would benefit from knowing the difference between marinade and macerate. So please like, love, share this video with them so that they know you love them too by marinating and macerating. Look, lastly, I got something really special I want to talk to you about today. Since these holidays are going to be unlike any other, really, it's just crazy how different this is. I figure everybody needs some extra help, some guidance, some support over the next few weeks, and that's me. I'm here for you. I'm dedicated to being here for you, to helping us all get through these holiday meals, the meals that we've planned that we had to change, and now we really got to think about getting through it in the safest way without sacrificing the most delicious way. And that's why we're talking about this today. And you know what? In all my years of cooking, in a dozen years of cooking online, I have never made the kind of commitment to my students and followers that I'm about to announce today. Because I've been watching what's going on, and it's bothering me. I mean, I think about it a lot. I think about, and I get upset, I hope I don't, I think about all the people who are doing a lot more cooking this year. Just everyday cooking. They've had to. They have to cook their own food. And I want to help them. I think about all the people who may be cooking holiday meals for the first time ever this year because they're alone. I think about the people that are brokenhearted because they're not going to see their families. I think about all this. I think about how hard this year is for so many people. So look, I got to do something, right? I'm doubling down. I'm going for it. Heck, I am tripling down on my live schedule this weekend. Since this weekend is the whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the annual Cyber Weekend, I'm calling this daily live cooking commitment the Cyber Cooking Club. And I want you to know exactly what and when I'll be cooking on Facebook Live this coming weekend, helping to make all of our kitchen time more fun, more rewarding, more pride-provoking. So we're going to kick it all off with a big holiday, a big cyber weekend. And if you go to webcookingclasses.com/holidaylive, one word, holiday live, you can see what I've got planned for every single day this cyber weekend. We're going to be together every single day. I'm doing it. We're all stuck inside. It's not like shopping online is anything new or exciting anymore. You buy everything online. So put away the credit card for a minute. Join me for 4 live classes in a row. So I want you to use your mouse to improve your cooking for the holidays once you're done with your shopping, of course. Okay, so go to webcookingclasses.com/holidaylive and see if I'm going to be making any of your favorites this weekend. So until next week, when we take more steps toward cracking the Carefree Cooks Code, this is Chef Todd Moore.